Music and Relationships. The subtitle is Listening for a Better World. Nothing compares to the enchantment and profound satisfaction that is possible when reading music informally, communing with close friends and a great string quartet composer. What started me writing this book? I've always liked to write. My father was a poet and an English professor, and I've written many articles on music in my long career. It took me about 5 years to actually make the whole book, but it became a very natural sort of culmination of my musical lives, both as performer, as teacher, as string quartet reader with amateurs, as just person in the world relating to other people. What was the main idea for the book? Relationships is really the heart of the book. And it also refers not only to personal relationships, but to relationships to the music and to the composers, even who wrote the music, who were trying to communicate with us through their music. My mother was a pianist, so I heard lots of music from birth. She was a very engaging person. She talked interestingly about music. I decided I wanted to play the violin. The experience of reading in a non-professional way, where you really are relating to the other people in the group in many other ways other than just through your instrument and the notes on the page and trying to get something right. That was a soul-changing experience, but it happened over many, many years, many decades even, and finally came to the point where I was ready to write about it. The picture for the title page shows a string quartet with listeners around the outside. They're all relating to each other, they're talking to each other. It's a moment of discussing some fine point in the music. The flow of the human spirit from person to person through the medium of music leads to limitless possibilities and joys. Our musical wills, linked in intense awareness, can rise above individual capabilities, can spin breathtaking hushes, layer astonishing colors, toss off fragile volleys, and dare aching stretches that few pros would try on stage. This magic does occasionally happen in concert, and more rarely on recordings, but almost never with the balance of musical and personal ingredients that average musicians can achieve with the right kind of training, nurturing, thought, and effort. I love how this book came out physically. To make this book a sort of total immersion in the 18th century, I included a lot of ceiling designs by the Adam brothers. They were working in the mid-18th century. They were classical artists. The biggest ceiling design is this one, which is an entire design, which is quite spectacular. And this is opposite the chapter on philosophical listening, which is really the core of the book. Playing chamber music changed my life in many ways. When I was a student in conservatory, I was studying during the summers with the Hungarian string quartet, whom I just adored. My teacher at conservatory was dissuading me from doing that because she thought I should be practicing scales and etudes and concerti, but there was something about the Hungarian quartet that was drawing me to chamber music. The book is organized in 4 parts. The first part is relating to each other, which means how we relate when we're making music to the other people. Michael, welcome. All right,
good to see you.
Part 2 is about relating to music. What does music tell us? What is the composer trying to tell us through the music? I think this movement is about an argument between 2 differing ways of articulating the opening. I think since there's not a little wedge, because then I have a wedge, this is what you're saying. About this argument is that I think by the end, Haydn is showing that all the rough edges have been smoothed out. All the accents are gone, and everyone is feeling very warm and fuzzy. Part 3 is about relating to students. It's a section called Respect. It's so easy to get hierarchically stuck. As we discussed in Part 1, we must lead sometimes and follow sometimes, always aware of how hard it is to know which way to go. Part 4 is a very short part about relating to audiences.